Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Welcome to IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. We are into the wee hours of Monday, unfortunately. It's been a long day, but this is Sunday's IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. Another great show. I want to thank you for popping in. We start on a Saturday, we roll all the way through the week, and we finish up on a Friday. And we have some great information to share with you. And I want to thank our friends, colleagues, and wonderful associates for coming back and being part of this show. Really appreciate you. And I also want to thank those that watch us on the replay, 1 a.m., 6 a.m., 2 a.m., 11 p.m., or just 9 a.m. in the morning. Whatever time you watch, really appreciate you for taking time to put this in your schedule because it's great that you can watch us at any time. Let's get into the master top. Is everybody ready for that? All right. It is how to know when and how to trust. We're on series number 2, which is year 2, show 6, episode number 2. All right. So let's think about all this great stuff because we have lots of great stuff to share with you. And so when we think about trust, people trust too soon in their lives. Is it because they don't know any better? Well, I wouldn't say it's because they don't know any better. I think it's just because they feel that they're supposed to trust, like it's something that they have to do like right now. But then what happens is they don't trust. They don't trust. And so by them not trusting, it becomes this big challenge that they have to live out, that they have to trust immediately. Okay? That they have to trust immediately. And trusting immediately sounds a little daunting, but it's not. Making the choice to trust and when to trust is important. Sometimes in a relationship, one person wants the other to, be more trusting, to be more vulnerable. And the other person is not ready for that. So it's not a time to chastise that person. It's a time to say, okay, this is where we are right now. This is what I can do right now. And hopefully we'll be better in the future. Hopefully. But it's not a time for you to say, hey, why don't you trust, right? Why? And that's not a bad thing that you're not trusting right now. It's basically happening because you as a person don't quite understand life. And if you don't understand life, then you're probably not going to trust someone. Not because you don't want to, but just because you're probably not comfortable with trusting. Now, that might sound crazy, but it's not. You can trust people when you feel comfortable. When you feel comfortable. And so feeling comfortable is really important. And so somebody says to you, hey, John or Mike or Bob, why don't you trust me? Instead of saying, well, the reason I don't trust you is like, well, I can appreciate you want me to trust you fully, and I want to. And at this time, I am not comfortable. I'm getting there, but I'm not comfortable today. And so that might sound a little crazy, but it is the truth. Trust. Trust. Trust forms because of time, because people get to see that what they're doing is being supported by others. And a lot of times people say, hey, I'm like you, you're like me. And that causes a certain amount of trust to form in people's lives. And trust is something, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot rush trust. You just can't rush trust. For whatever you're doing, you cannot rush trust. You just can't. If you rush it, trust will be destroyed. It'll be destroyed. And if it's destroyed, then people are going to be like, well, why don't you trust me? And it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just that person might have had some situations in their life where they couldn't trust others. Something went wrong. And because something went wrong, they don't quite want to trust you. Okay? They don't quite want to trust you. And so I will tell you that you can overcome this by not putting pressures on the person to trust you. You're saying, oh, gee, you're not trusting me. I want to be trusted now. I get it. But if you're not ready to trust, don't chastise somebody because they're not trusting you. Just don't do that. Do not do that. And I will tell you that trust is something that you build upon. You build upon, and it becomes stronger in our lives, right? How many times have you, let's say, become friends with someone? And I'm going to go back to a day in high school. And we weren't really friends. We were acquaintances, right? So we were kind of, just because they would give us a homework assignment in class, or they would give us information about school and stuff like that, you presume that you're friends with them, but you're not. You're acquaintances. People you just kind of pass by the locker or the gym or the lunchroom or homeroom, and you want it to be more, but you're not necessarily friends. You're acquaintances. And by being acquaintances, you haven't formed that true trust. You know what I want to compare this to? Trust of, let's say, to Jello. So in order to make Jello, you basically take, let's say you're going to use a package of Jello, for example. You would use 1 cup of cold water and 1 cup of hot water. So first you put the hot water in, and then you pour the gelatin mix it all up, let it all dissolve, and then when it's all mixed, you put the cold 1 cup in. Then you put some saran wrap around it, you put it in the fridge, and in 5 hours later, you have yourself Jello. Now, that may sound a little bit crazy, but Jello doesn't harden in just an hour. It takes 4 to 5 hours to solidify, to basically be solid. And so if you try to rush it, if you try to take the Jello out too soon, what happens? It falls apart. If we try to put too much, let's say, responsibility or too much onus on a person when we're not really anything more than acquaintances, we're friends, and we're trying to expect them to do something, it blows up in our face. I'll give you an example. So there were these 2 kids. Okay, I'm not going to give you their names, but there were 2 kids in high school, and they were both born on the same date. So they were kind of like twins, but from different mothers. And so, they were born at the same hospital, basically in the same delivery room at, I think, almost the same time. So they were basically like twins, but not out of the same mother, right? And so I remember that the one person, was really tied to this other person. But then when that person was around, it was like they acted a certain way. They acted differently. Now, what happened, which was really strange, is other people thought that they were just like them and they were, steadfast friends, but they weren't. And so they tried to do something like they would do. And then it blew up in their face, or they didn't take it seriously. And although you're probably saying, what's the big deal? Well, people had thought that they were friends, but they weren't, because you see, these 2 guys, they're born on the same day, same hospital, about the same time, roughly. And they were inseparable. They were friends from birth. And other people thought that they could just do that. But they couldn't. They couldn't just do that. And so I will tell you that it's about knowing who the person is that you're with. And so I had thought, my other friends had thought, hey, such and such is our friend. We're going to trust them to do it. But then again, it came back in our face because we weren't really friends. We were acquaintances. Now, everyone else thought we were friends, but we weren't. And I thought just as we were hanging around that we were friends, but we weren't really friends. We were acquaintances. And it had only been a couple weeks of being in school. And I'm like, you can't be their friend in just a week or two. Even though it seemed like we were being friends, we weren't friends. We were like the Jell-O that didn't really turn into that somewhat of a solid state, right? A little jimmery. And I'll tell you that this was a very hard lesson I learned, is that you cannot rush people's trust. If they're not ready to be in a relationship with you, if they're not ready to be your friend, if they're not ready to support you, don't try to make someone be ready when they're not. Somebody's not ready to trust you. Hey, I get it. You need more time. It's no big deal. I'm sorry I asked you. I shouldn't have asked you so soon. It was my fault. No, John, it wasn't your fault. It's just I'm not ready. I get it. Don't worry. It's no problem. Maybe in 6 months I'll ask again. Okay, all right. And so when you blow it off like that, people understand. People definitely understand. People generally understand. And so the biggest thing about trust is you have to take it so that people don't put a lot of onus on it. And when you don't put all your eggs in the basket of, hey, this person's my friend, and they're just an acquaintance, you're going to see that that person's not going to have the animosity towards you because they're not ready to be your friend. They're not ready to trust you yet. But over time, they may. And if they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. Don't lose sleep over that. Do not lose sleep over that. Knowing how and when to trust is important. So you don't trust someone when you've only known them a week or two. That's number one. You don't trust someone even because they're someone else's best friend and they introduce. Now, you might get trust, but don't expect that trust is going to transfer. Almost like a referral. Like if I refer to somebody, like it has the same trust. Don't presume that the referral of the friendship means that you have the same level of friendship that they do with another person that's for 10 or 20 years or more. Don't. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to be disappointed. I don't want you to be disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been a privilege, been a pleasure, been an honor to be with you this amazing evening. I hope you'll like, love, support the channel. Definitely comment below. And of course, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. And go to my YouTube channel, John Space C Space MRLY Space Serial Entrepreneur, and look for that key phrase, help keep our content free. Make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or a savory dessert. Either way, we'll be grateful with those pennies and dollars. We'll invest into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, empowered content to change your life if you really want that. I hope you guys will check out more of my great content at the QR code, believemeachieve.com. Just scan that QR code with your phone, or you can just go to believemeachieve.com and you'll see some amazing content that I think will change your life if you're really ready for it. Have a great rest of your night, rest of your morning. I'll see you a little later with a whole new episode for our master topic of the week. Take care, everyone.